Hi guys, so in this video, I'll be showing you how I made this LED heart keychain. So for the features, I made it so the LEDs blink using a microcontroller. The microcontroller I used in particular is the Arduino Nano Mini Ultra, which you can find online in shops like Shopee. I also used a magnetometer sensor in order to make it possible to add a compass feature. This particular sensor is the HMC 5883L. I also used a heartbeat sensor so that the LEDs can also blink in rhythm with a person's heartbeat. The one I use in this project is the Max30102 heartbeat sensor. I designed and ordered a custom PCB for this project, and I also designed and 3D printed the case for the PCB to fit into. So yeah, that's the features. Let's move on now to how I made it step by step. So I started off with a rough sketch on how I wanted it to look. I laid out the features I wanted to implement and started figuring each out step by step. I had to figure out how many LEDs I could use and how I would power them using a microcontroller. I found the method of Charlieplexing the LEDs and connecting them to the I/O pins of an Arduino to be the best route. I'll link a tutorial down the description for how Charlieplexing works, but this basically allowed me to be able to control 12 LEDs using only 4 I/O pins, which is amazing because it saves a lot of time with wiring and programming. I then moved on to making a prototype on a true hole PCB so that I can see how the LEDs would look and I'd be able to test out the sensors and make programming a whole lot easier. Here's it after I soldered. Got it hooked up to the Arduino and it looks beautiful, dude. Holy. Here's it with Mr. Potato. Next, I used the Max30102 heartbeat sensor as a way to display a person's heart rate via the LEDs. It works by measuring changes in blood volume using light, a process known as photoplethysmography. The sensor communicates to the Arduino via the I2C protocol. I then moved on to the HMC5883L magnetometer sensor, which makes my favorite feature possible, the compass mode. This sensor can detect changes in the magnetic field, which you can use as a way to point north using the LEDs. Do keep in mind to factor in the magnetic declination of your area so that the sensor is more accurate. Once I was happy with the prototype, I moved on to designing the PCB in KiCad. Now, this involved a lot of measuring with a caliper in order to make sure everything fits nicely. So you really have to be careful and double check everything when designing a custom PCB because mistakes are hard to fix once you have ordered your PCB. After quadruple checking the design, I sent it over to JLC PCB and had it manufactured. After we model the PCB, we're gonna model the case around it, and then there's gonna be like a little circle thing in the center. That's gonna be where the keychain goes. So that's that. Hopefully this PCB doesn't cost me a lot of money. So while I was waiting for the PCB to arrive, I started 3D modeling the case for the PCB and the components to fit into. Now I added a hole here for the USB-C connector for the battery charger, and I added a little thing here for the keychain so that it can hold the case. It's pretty cute, and I'm pretty proud with how it went. I then went to a local 3D printing shop to get the case 3D printed. It was a pretty cool experience to see the case being 3D printed, and I think that opened up a lot of cool new ideas for future projects with 3D printing. Hi guys, so I got the 3D printed case here. Very special thanks to fuck. So I got the 3D printed case here. Special thanks to One Negros Ads for 3D printing this. Awesome service, awesome quality. If you guys need anything 3D printed in Bacolod City, definitely check it out. One Negros Ads. I'll put a link down in the description. And we got the PCB, JLC PCB. Thank you so much. If you guys need to make anything PCB related, JLC PCB. Here's how it looks with the custom PCB. I'm super proud with how this turned out. Everything fitted so nicely. Hi guys, so the Arduino Nano Mini that I got from Shopee has arrived. And this is basically just a smaller version of the Arduino I'm using that I'm gonna put on the heart keychain. So we're gonna do a little bit of a solder montage. I'm gonna solder those wires there. When soldering your connections as small as the ones on the Nano, you should tin the pad first and then just connect the wires by heating the tinned solder. Make sure to apply flux as it'll make heating the solder much easier. Hi guys, so a little update. Got everything got everything in place here. Got this little makeshift setup using my helping hands here. He's helping. It looks if it works it works, you know. If it works it works. So this is basically just the same connections as the Arduino from earlier, but in this little guy, the Arduino Nano. So I haven't been able to work on this all week because I've been very busy with class. But today I got the keychains from a friend, and today we're soldering it all. We're taking all that and we're putting it here. Here's some pictures because I low-key forgot to record me making this. On a side note, I started this project because I like this girl and I wanted to make her something cool. But along the way, I got to learn a lot of stuff, which was pretty fun. Check it out, guys. It's so good. Let's go. Here's a little bit of the wiring and a little bit of the underground. Yeah. Now I gotta put all that into that. Here's by far my favorite feature, the compass. North is over there, somewhere over there, and it points north, which is really cool. I think I'm gonna add a couple light modes so that Crush doesn't get bored with just this. Here's it finally assembled. Super cool. So yeah, guys, that was the entire journey of this project. Here's again the features. Got the little sine wave thingy. Got the steady heart rate. I mean steady on. You know, it's just on. Just turns on. And the heartbeat sensor. If you put your finger in the IR sensor, if you put it a long time, it'll start to stabilize and beat your heart. Maybe I have arrhythmia. And then the magnet, the compass using the magnetometer. It always points north. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Hopefully you learned something cool. And if you have any questions, just comment them down below. Bye!